For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a review video on a brand new tent from Outwell. So with me here today I've got the Outwell Stonehill Air Tent. So the Stonehill is a new tent for the 24 season, and actually kind of sits in Outwell's new branded sort of deluxe category. So the deluxe category is all about sort of creating a very keen price pointed model, something that sort of doesn't lose that whole kind of Outwell-ness in the way it's designed, it's made, the workmanship, just the fact that actually it sort of hits a bit more targeted price points really. So it's all about giving you value for money, like I said, not compromising on the quality. So the Stonehill sits at the top of the collection in deluxe in terms of the size and also in terms of some of the features. So first thing you see actually is available in two sizes. So we do a 7 Air and then do a 5 Air. With me today here I've got the 7 Air, and they're designed as essentially as a free zone tent. You've got sleeping, living, and then obviously a enclosed front canopy section. So regardless of what weather you're looking at, you've got the space to kind of adapt with the climate, as it certainly does. The thing that's quite interesting in terms of the deluxe collection is if you look at, say, the specification of that versus sort of other brands, it actually sits a little bit higher but competes in about a similar sort of price point. So in terms of value, I think personally it's quite a nice value. Everything I'm going to go through today is going to be the same for the 7, it is the 5. The only difference really is the sizing. So they're both free zones, both about the same length. The only real difference is the 7, which I've got me here, is a 430 width tent, whereas a 5 is a 340. And essentially you have 2 bedrooms. In the 7 you have 3. So again, it's the same principle all the way around. First thing we'll talk about obviously is the fabric itself. So this uses kind of Attwoll's sort of Boss Select 4000 fabric. So it's a 4000mm high static head, so really nice waterproof. Again, in comparison to probably other brands, a little bit higher spec in terms of that. And the embossedness actually gives it a bit more of a richer and more superior look. It's completely inflatable, so we've got air tubes throughout the whole of it, so it's very quick and easy to pitch. You can see from our own Attwoolls pitching and packing video, it took me the best part of sort of around 10 to 13 minutes to pitch it. Also depends on how good or quick you are, but for me it's sort of second nature. So each beam is done individually and it's got its own individual inflation points. You get a manual stirrup pump supplied with the tent itself, and you're only looking at about 7 psi in terms of the actual pressure, so it's not really a high pressure tent. And personally I would probably start by pitching it in the middle and working your way out. Because it essentially is sort of free zones when you can pitch it as well, probably peg the main 4 corners of the ground sheet sewn in and the front, but again we've got a video dedicated purely to that, so you can check that out on our YouTube channel. The thing is, part of Outwell have kind of managed to keep this sort of the price point to where it is just by a few little tweaks here and there. So probably one of the first things you might notice in comparison probably to their more their prime range of collections that sits above this is the opening at the front's a little bit smaller. What they've done is actually opted for sort of they call like a J door. So it is a zip that basically, like a J, upside down J, goes up and around. So you still have the openings, but it's just a bit more cost effective to do. The one thing I do like, and we'll see that in a second when we go inside it, is even in the main internal doors, everything is zipped along the bottom. So you've got a complete seal against any bugs or barriers coming into the main part of the tent itself. With the Stonehill, you've got kind of 2 main entrances, obviously the front entrance here, and then also the side entrance. The big nice side entrance you see here also features a mesh door. So this is going to be basically the ultimate door for ventilation. So if you want sort of that bug-free barrier, but still want the airflow, that's going to be the prime point of call. You can zip that up nice and neatly. Like I said, zips along the bottom, so it's a really nice thorough fit. Low-level ventilation points are beneath kind of the windows to help circulate air and also help to fight sort of condensation. And even on this sort of price point, you still get 2-tone fabrics, so it still looks quite rich and a bit different. And again, the more different materials you have it, the more kind of cost there is to making a tent. So even for the price you pay, to have this kind of features and still looks classic kind of Outwell, I think they've done a really nice option there. You can have the ability to extend the tent as well, so there's available of tarps, so they've got like a canopy tarp that you can buy for it. They do sort of a medium and a large, particularly it's going to be a large for this one, and you've got these little tabs located here which can put that on, and we've done a separate sort of pitching video on that as well to sort of show you what it is, but it gives you a bit more of a shelter at the front actually kind of looks something like this. Other points to raise, obviously, on the Stonehill. High visibility guide points, really nice and easily. Outwell, as typically, kind of give their colour coordinated pegs normally as well, so you've got that option. But even on kind of the front section, you've got key pegging points to get that really nice and sharp. The front beam, as we probably can't really see from the outside, but we certainly will from the in, is actually slightly angled forward. Again, it's to keep tension into the roof, and it's still kind of the whole kind of DNA, like I said, of Outwell is still in this, even being at quite an competitive price point. But I'll tell you what, let's actually head inside the tent and talk through a load more features that it has to offer. So now I swung around the front of the Stonehill, you can probably appreciate the sort of depth you got in the tent itself, and those kind of three main sections. So we've got obviously the sleeping area right at the back, your main kind of living area, which is sort of like a double bay living area, and then obviously the kind of generous, actually, sort of front awning area. Naturally, with the front door, the way it's designed, actually, you've got your sort of middle entrance here, so it naturally lends itself to have a little bit more of kind of storage sections to the right or left. So if you sort of use this area for cooking, you've almost got a little bit of dead space either side, giving you a sort of central area. There are pros and cons to that. Obviously, it sort of dictates your sort of design of the tent, your flow of the tent a little bit when you walk through. But I think generally, in this area, this is always going to be kind of your wet and dry area anyway. So somewhere you can take your shoes off, store them on one side, and then have an area for cooking. Now, as standard, the tent doesn't come with a ground sheet in this section, but when you buy the footprint, which we've got some offers on as well, that then covers into the section, and what you find as well is, again, it toggles up, so it kind of keeps a better seal around the tent itself. Front door, as we can see here, is completely a blank door, so it gets you sealed off. But the one thing again I like about this collection as well is that even in this front awning section, we've got these lovely sort of tinted windows to get an element of privacy. It's not going to completely give you privacy, but you've got toggle up curtains in this section, which again you don't really see from a lot of other brands as well. So that's where there's a point of difference. So you can get the complete privacy in here as well. Tube's obviously nice and easy. There is a central point, hanging point in here as well for a lantern. So, and you've got little Velcro tabs leading down the beams to have your mains hook up in here. So it's quite seamless in that sort of way. Other things to point out is actually I quite like the fact that you can actually run the cable in from the front section into the main body. So there's a little cable entry point down the bottom there, and there's an additional one, of course, in the main living area from the outside anyway. So again, it's a small little details that actually make this quite a nice spec product. We move kind of into the main living area, and again we've got a central door which lines up with the front door. And again, it's the thing I like here is the fact that it's the proper seal that you get in here. So not only have you got this kind of J door which just rolls up like side, but there actually is a physical zip located on the bottom of the actual tent, so you get a seal not only along the bottom but there. So it's a proper seal and barrier. Obviously, with this being a sort of drop-down door, you have the accessibility that you can get in and out quite nice and neatly. Even if you've got kids or wheelchairs, pushchairs, you haven't got to worry about getting over a lip, but you can still get that seal as well, so that works quite nicely. Again, this door here is just kind of a blank door, and your one mesh door you've got on the product is on the side door as well. Either side of kind of the main door into the main living area, we've got mesh windows. So that's going to be, again, your main source of ventilation. So you have, even when that's sealed, you have airflow coming through there. So it's going to, again, help fight sort of the condensation you do kind of get in kind of polyester tents. The main living area is quite spacious. You've got sort of two nice 2 bays. We've got it all kind of dressed up here in Denmark. So we've got the sort of tables and setups, and for a space point of view, it lends itself quite nicely. Certainly that width, I think, for me, I generally try to prefer the 7PA, the 7 version rather than the 5. Just I think it gives it that much more space, and probably in terms of the sizing as it. The 7's probably be a bit more equivalent for a comfy 6, whereas the 5 I think is definitely probably more for a comfy 4, and that way you can maximise the living bedroom sections, which we'll come on to in just a moment. We've got, again, other unique features to Outwell, such as kind of their own hook track system. So what this allows you to do is have a hanging point in the middle of the tent, and you can position it anywhere along this beam. For here, we've got it nice and neatly here, but one thing I did notice in another tent is you could almost utilise the toggle points for the windows to create their sort of, it's like their hook track system, so it's like a sliding part, so you can bridge the gaps or have, say, like little flexible lights, almost like we have here, sort of really in. So there's quite different creative ways of doing it, but the hook track system works really nicely because you can position it, you can have storage organisers hanging from it, so it gives you the ultimate amount of flexibility. So again, seeing that in kind of the price point we see here is a bit of a rarity, to be honest with you. Nice 2 big windows either side, so again, plenty of light coming in, but you've got the privacy curtains located on that. So anywhere we've got for that tent is window, be it mesh or normal PVC, you have got the ability to sort of enclose that to get your privacy as and when you need to. Into the bedroom section, we've kind of got sort of 3 separate bedrooms. So there's a toggle divider between the two. So again, you've still got an element of privacy, but you've got a little bit more flexibility. So as we stand here in the 7, we've got sort of 120 bedroom, a 120 bedroom, and then a middle bedroom of 160. So this is going to really be your master kind of bedroom, and then you would put the kids or create a wardrobe scenario with either of them. 120 is not quite enough for a double airbed, you need about 130, but if I think, in my opinion, you've probably got a little bit enough play in there that you can probably get a 130 in there, or just toggle it off at the bottom, and that would kind of give you a proper, what I'd call a true 6 berth, so 2, 2, and then a sort of oversized 2 for kind of the master bedroom. Other things as well, when you go into the 5, it changes, so it's a 120 and then it's a 180. So again, you can sort of manipulate it a little bit, but that 180 is really be a nice generous 4-person. So you can always check out the floor plans and everything via the link below where our website is. We've got pricing and stuff, so that's always a good point of interest. Another thing I do like generally about this collection, which you've got very Outwell-esque, is their quick and quiet door system. So this is the ability of entering the door quite happily without having to worry about sort of opening zips. So you can quite literally nip in there. Let's just take these zips around a second. So when you want to enter into the bedroom in the master bedroom only, you don't have to go through zips. You can quite happily just nip in, and the door will shut behind you. So again, if the kids are asleep, it's the best way of getting in and out of tent without having to worry about making too much noise or zips. And the other thing I do like as well is that you've got really big mesh panels built onto the actual tent here as well, so you can actually optimize airflow. And again, it's something you don't see in this kind of specification normally, so that's also a bit of an extra benefit. But let's bring the camera in actually and get a bit more up close and personal with some of these features that I've been talking about. So, kind of as we head in, we can kind of get a bit more of appreciation for sort of the depth of this sort of front section as we kind of go in. We've got a little trolley located there quite nice and neatly, but also, as I said, we've got an angled beam, toggle points and buckle points, so we can actually get the cable running throughout here to your main sort of entry point, and these extra different straps here just to brace this front beam. You can see how it's kind of on an angle as well, just to give a bit more beefiness to it all. Trip hazard free door as we come into the main living area, and you can see the lovely little setup we've got going on here with sort of chairs and tables all scattered around. So we've got windows sort of either side. We've got one blank panel located there, but then low level ventilation again for help with the airflow, but also the privacy curtains to get that sort of thoroughness as and when you need to. And then we've got the little hook track system. So this is a little point, like you see it there, so you can run the hooks just along this beading and run it down to wherever you need to. We've got a cable entry point not only on the side, just down the bottom here, but also behind my little chair, down the front there, so we can run it in from sort of the left side quite nice and easily. And then bedroom scenarios, like I said, we've got this lovely big mesh vent at the front, quick and quiet door in the main bedroom, but then a good sort of depth bedroom as well. Toggle dividers, so you've got an element of privacy, but it's not sort of too much. But also the detailing on the storage pockets at the front here. You can see not many tents at this point have this mesh storage pocket, nor the cable entry points. So you have your phones charging inside a tent without having to leave the main door open all the time. So again, that's a really quite nice little feature. The fact also I like that you've got a little bit of a gap in there, so you can stream these lights across, and it looks really quite smart. And it creates, gives you lighting without having to worry about additional hanging points, but you also have the option, as we can see there, Bedroom depths are quite standard, but one thing that's quite nice actually, it's tapered at the back, so hopefully gives you a bit of a better bedroom scenario. And you can see there's a lovely big mesh vent located at the back with obviously a privacy curtain as well. So again, for the interest of airflow, that works really nicely to kind of help make it all nice and easy. And then we've got this kind of larger middle bedroom section. And we've even got little storage pockets located down the bottom here as well. So even in the bedroom section, you've got ability to store, and there's little hanging points at the top as well for lanterns or running the cables. But if we kind of head out and look at the back of the tent, one thing you can see is this lovely big ventilation point at the back here as well. So not only we've got obviously high visibility guy ropes, but this for airflow works really nicely. A strong structural point there to guy on. But for airflow when it's a warm day, that's going to really make a big difference. When it does rain, you can actually zip this down. You just unravel it. This then props it open. So from a side point of view, you still have a lot of airflow, or you can seal it up completely. Personally, I probably wouldn't recommend that because you want some airflow in there, especially if you've got a good amount of people sleeping in there. It does make quite a big difference having that sort of bit of ventilation. But all in all, I think it's, for me, the 7's a real winner. I think there's a lot going on here, a lot of talking points. There's a slight darker tint to the bedrooms as well to help hopefully not sort of cut out early morning light. I would say it's not quite the level of blackout, but it's anything's going to kind of help it in general. So that works really quite nicely as well. We'd love to hear from you as well. If you have any questions, queries or concerns, or any further comments, feel free to let us know in the comments box below. But all in all, I think for what you pay, for what you get, certainly with, it's not about £100-ish difference between, say, the 5 and the 7. I think it works really quite nicely. Pack size and pack weight, about the 7, you're looking around about 32 kilograms for a big, I would call it a 7, but I'm going to call it a 6 person tent with the level of features you've seen here. Actually, I think it's quite good, and that's one thing that certainly it's been the bugbear of recent years, is tents getting bigger and bulkier. There's only so much car boot space you can take up, so there's got to be some sort of compromise here, and I think that sort of 32 kilograms mark for the largest version I think works really nicely. But all in all, yeah, really quite impressed. Lots of talking points, evidently because I've been talking for too long, and yeah, just to finish the detail, I think it works really nicely. So in whole, we're quite impressed really with the Stonehill. Like I said, for more information, check the link below this video. It takes you through to our website. We've got bundle deals, packages, all the other individual specifications there. So features, weights, pack sizes, so you can get a real feel for what you're looking at. And of course, any questions, just let us know. But it's definitely one we look to have at our indoor display showroom. So feel free to stop by, come and see it, and you can compare and contrast with other brands. But all in all, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon in our next Attwoolls Outdoors review video.